So today we've come to Yorkshire's premier seaside resort, allegedly the oldest seaside resort in the UK. Today we've come to Scarborough. So what we're looking at now, to many people, would just look like a wall. Here was one of the largest aquariums in the world. In fact, it was the second one built. We now call them sea life centres, but in this area here, until the 1940s, an aquarium, a theatre that used to hold 10,000 people allegedly. All that you can see now of it is the car park, which is underneath here. Anybody who's been to Scarborough before will know about this car park. It's just under the bridge.
Now as you look down from the bridge, you'll see where this aquarium and theatre of 10,000 people used to be. There's no sign of it now.
The Grand Hotel. What a fantastic place. A very uniquely designed place. It was designed based on the calendar. So you've got 12 floors, you've got 52 chimneys, you've got 365 rooms, or at least that's how it was designed. Some of the rooms may have been made larger and you may have lost one or two rooms. But the whole point of it, it was grand. It was unique. And that's one of the reasons why Hitler said that if he was to take over the UK, this place would be its palace. Now, it was taken over by, it was either Butlins or Pontins who owned it, and basically it didn't work. They ran it down. Britannia Hotels have recently taken it over. They've spent a lot of money on it, but it still is in the getting back to the standards. So at the moment, it's still a fairly budget hotel to visit. So if you want to go see somewhere that's a little bit different and with some major history behind it, hop over to the Grand. Fantastically unique place.
Now, when you look at the back of the Grand, you'll see that there's a section at the bottom that's just purely bricked up. That was the Grand Hotel's restaurant. But during World War I, the German Navy attacked Scarborough and did significant damage to the Grand Hotel. And as such, they had to brick it up. That is now actually owned by Scarborough Council, so the Grand Hotel doesn't have any access to it whatsoever. But it does make you wonder what's actually in there now. Right, that shop there, the joke shop. Every trip to Scarborough, when I was young, would go there. Now, bearing in mind I'm not exactly young now, that shop has not changed in one little bit since the first day that I remember going in it. Yeah, there might be different gags and things like that, but it's one of those that brings back those childish memories. If you noticed, both these buildings here are curved on along a street that's pretty much straight. You can tell that they weren't built recently, can't you? But that's not what I'm trying to show you up here. By going up here, you come to this large building. We're coming up to the Market Hall, which has actually been here since 1845 and is actually a listed building, a Grade 2 listed building, which basically means they can't knock it down anyway. But look at the size of the doors there. They are huge. In the 1800s, they must have had giants living there. To give you an idea of the size of those doors, you could have had two people, one stood on top of the other's shoulders, and still had headroom. The place actually went through some major refurbishment in 2018, and it's now actually got 3 floors. It's got shops, cafes, stalls. And if we go around the corner, you'll see that there's another section. And it's called the Vaults. The vaults are basically full of antiques, curios, things like hidden treasures almost. Well worth a visit just for those alone.
Well, this is a side to Scarborough that most people don't notice. It has a huge harbour. Pleasure boats, fishing boats, all come from here. Now we're at low tide, hence why they're all parked in the mud. But if you watch our other video, where I spend a bit more time in the harbour, you'll see what it really looks like when it's full, and it is a fantastic thing. And one of the things that you really ought to go visit is this ship just here. And the reason for it, this is one of the very few still existing boats that went to Dunkirk to save soldiers from the Germans in 1940. And as you can see on the front, they actually saved 1,200 people from the beaches. You can actually go in and they've got some memorabilia from the time to have a look at. There's also a bar in there so you can have a drink, as you can see people are doing now. But it's not that expensive either. Cup of tea, £1. Chocolate, £2. Can't be bad. But certainly one of those places to go to if you're fed up with the beach. Well, the doctor's informed us his chameleon circuit's not working properly. The TARDIS has reappeared, but they've got the styling slightly wrong. Okay, so it's not the actual TARDIS, but the police box came in numbers of different formats depending on where you were in the country. Ones that are identical to the one that's used in Doctor Who are very, very rare. This is even rarer. But the idea was, can't find a policeman, go in there, and there'll be a telephone for you to phone direct to the police station. Didn't last that long, but certainly an interesting piece to be right on the seafront, hundreds of years later, or at least 100 years later.
The walk up to the actual castle I've cut down on this film because it is a good 15-minute walk up a very steep incline. There are, however, some fantastic views as you go up, and there's plenty of benches along the way for you to take a breather as you're walking up. I must confess, compared to previous walks, the one at Whitby was the worst. This is much more gentle. Few steps and a breather, a few steps and a breather to get up. So no matter what situation you're in, you would be able to do it, and you will notice that majority of the way is just flat paths. Layla obviously has a little bit more energy than me, as you can tell by the way she's shooting up there. In my defence, I was carrying a very heavy backpack on me. Now, isn't that view what you'd expect for the entrance to a castle? It really does look what you'd expect a typical British castle to look like. The castle itself actually started off as a wooden fort in 1155, and that was by a gentleman called William le Gros, who was the Earl of York at the time. Unfortunately for William, Henry II found out about it, and only 4 years later had taken over the castle. He'd made William surrender and hand it over to him. But what tended to happen with Norman kings at that time is they wanted impressive castles everywhere. So that building in front was built, along with the pathway that we've just gone over a bridge on, and the entrance. Obviously buildings have been built since then, but the buildings that you can see now are purely down to Henry II. If he hadn't decided that this would be a perfect place for a castle, that wooden fort would have no doubt disappeared centuries ago. And we're now starting to get into what I would class as the North Bay area. And the first thing you see as you walk past the cafe there are these very, very brightly coloured beach huts. And I mean, if you've seen the video on Folkestone that we did, these are a lot brighter. Now here's a little chance to peek inside one of these beach huts. And another thing that's very unusual about these, because I don't see this anywhere else, although there might be, is yes, you've got your cupboards and whatnot. You've also got an electrical supply to them, so you can have a microwave, you can cook. They are a little home from home when you're at the beach. And that is very unusual for a beach hut. But look what we've got here. That's right. Now that's a beach hut on steroids. Yeah, you can have your own beach hut on 2 floors. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before.
We've gone to, was it Seaside Park? You've got all the pomp and ceremony of the band playing and the pedlars and during the July and August the battleships, but you've got this calm, relaxed area. Little crooks, little waterfalls. Hello. Hello. I haven't got anything for you, I'm afraid. Then a German U-boat dock. That's basically for when they do the battleships, which if you get to go in July and August, fantastic thing to see. And as you can see, they're not small. They fire missiles, rockets if you like, well, fireworks, and there's a space which you can't see easily from this, but for somebody to sit in and steer it. It's the same design that they use to teach tanker drivers how to drive major tankers, the type that take about 3 miles to move. But this is the same sort of education that they use on that. And as you can see, there are some unusual ships there. And here is the stairs to the top of the island, which will give probably a fantastic view. Never been up here, so I don't know. I'm just guessing. And this is why you want to come to the top. Little Chinese hidden place. We go to there. So what do you think to Peasham Park? somewhere to relax, somewhere to chill out. If you want to go on a pedalo, they're not expensive. If you come in July and August, there's something special going on. You've also got the open air theatre over there, where big bands come and play. We've had Madonna there, all sorts of people, right? Over there, which you may or may not have been to before, is a little bit of a theme park type thing. Very small, but there's a train from there that goes right to the other end of North Bay, where the Sea Life Centre is. Not a great deal in between, but the Sea Life Centre's there. That's worth a thing. There's one or two places to have a nibble. So what do you think to it? Have you been here before? Why not put your comments down? Tell us all about it. And we'll see you on the next video. So bye for now.